In my 30 years on this pathless path of awakening, knowing the stages of realization have brought me not only a relief from the clarity of understanding the stages and a possibility for a reality check so that I can understand where I am at on the journey, and even more if I am progressing on the journey. But also it gave me a sense of knowing, a sense of direction. It helped me understand where I am and what comes next so that I can identify what is happening in my experience, so that I can understand and make sense of my entire journey. And that is why for today I decided to create this video for you about the stages of realization. And today we're going to look into 3 ways of looking at the stages of realization to understand them from different perspectives. First of all, the pre-stage, or the pre-path as I like to call it, is when we are still in seeking mode, when we are still believing that through techniques, through methods, or other such external modalities, we are one day going to get somewhere. We are one day going to reach a point of understanding or enlightenment when we are going to realize who we are. But realizing who we are does not come through techniques or accumulation of knowledge, information, experiences. It is a simple shift. So that is the pre-path, and it is the path to self-realization, as I like to call it, when you have not yet realized that you are that which you seek. You are already being that which you are seeking. And for as long as you are entangled or trapped in this maze of seeking, confusion is bound to be there, and you are operating on your spiritual path as a separate self, as an ego, as someone who believes has something to achieve, to become, to develop in order to reach that peacefulness or happiness or fulfillment that we all crave in that stage or pre-stage. So this is not a stage of realization from my perspective. It is just the preparation. It is just the beginning of seeking. Because the path of self-realization is what we are going to talk about here, the stages of self-realization, which begins with the first moment when you have realized your true nature through direct experience. That is what realization means, realizing, realizing. Find that which is real, always real, yourself. So I am going to talk here about 3 ways in which you can look at the stages of realization. And when we say stages of realization, these are stages of a felt understanding of ourself as infinite, eternal awareness. So it's a process of deepening our realization of ourselves through direct experience of our true nature, which is infinite and eternal. So in the first version, we can talk about realization in these 3 stages. The first one is realizing. So that begins with the first moment when you realize your true nature. Realization. The second one is stabilizing your felt understanding of yourself through direct experience as infinite awareness. Because this is a process of, let's say, becoming familiar with your sense of self as infinite awareness, becoming clear. It's a process of clarifying in your own experience what being infinite awareness means on so many levels and layers of your being and life. And this cannot be really conveyed in words. It's always the direct experience that reveals this to you. But of course, teaching is here to guide us, to help us understand our experience and have that sense of confidence and knowing about what we're doing and where we're at. So in this version, stage number 1 is realizing, stage number 2 is stabilizing. The more you become clear of yourself as infinite awareness, the more this starts to sink in. But it's a gradual process, and it's really hard to put in words how this goes and how it feels. It's a continuous discovery. And the more it stabilizes, the more you feel at peace, because now you start to know who you are for real. And when you know who you are, you can trust who you are. And that sense of knowing yourself creates many ripple effects in your day-to-day life and being. The more this understanding sinks in. And so stage number 3 in this version is grounding your realization. After you've stabilized your sense of self as infinite awareness, you ground it more and more so that in this stage you no longer forget who you are. You no longer, your own true infinite eternal nature is no longer obscured by experience. And that is, if we can say that, the goal of walking the path of self-realization or awakening, grounding our realization. The goal is not to have a moment of realizing our true nature, but grounding that into our body, mind, so that it can be reflected, radiated, expressed in our day-to-day life through our thinking, feeling, behaving, and the way that we relate and act in the world. Another way to look at the stages of realization, which is deeper in the sense of understanding. This first one was a little bit broad, just to understand how it goes, how the process goes. This one is deeper because it is more specific and it can actually be verified with clarity in your own experience. So again, when we talk about stages of realization, we talk about levels of understanding ourself as infinite awareness. So in this version, the first stage is the realization that everything appears to me. Everything arises to me, meaning that everything that I am aware of arises to me. I am the one aware of everything that arises in my attention, be those feelings, thoughts, situations, experiences. I am the witnessing awareness to which everything arises. This is step 1, and some spiritual teachings stop at this point, realizing that you are the witnessing awareness, and that's fine. But usually for the seeker, that is not completely fulfilling. It's not the complete experience of realization. It's just the first stage. In stage 2, we realize that everything arises in me. And the way that we experience this is that we become aware through direct experience that everything arises within myself as the field of awareness that is aware and ever present. We realize that every experience happens in awareness. It cannot happen anywhere else. There is no experience that can happen outside awareness. Otherwise, it would not be experienced. So in stage 2, we realize everything arises in me. And this realization is a direct experience. It's a lived experience. And in this version, stage number 3 is the understanding, felt understanding, that everything arises as me. In this stage, we recognize, we experience, we feel, we understand that every experience is myself. I find myself in the midst, at the heart of every experience as the knowing of it. So myself and my experience are one. This is the last stage of realization. It is the last stage in the sense that the subject-object relationship, me and my experience, or myself and my experience, collapses. There's no difference, there's no distinction between me and that which I experience. I recognize myself in everything. So the sense of separation completely dissolves at this stage. So everything arises to me, stage 1. Everything arises in me, stage 2. Everything arises as me, stage 3. Of course, these are not exhaustive descriptions. The whole experience is so much more deep and complex when you actually live it directly. And these are just indicators that help us identify what is happening in our experience and where are we at. Because when you know what stage you are at and you can actually explain it to yourself and understand the experience that you're having, it helps you deepen it with more clarity, more focus, and it helps you even pay attention and thus cultivate that particular stage with more efficiency. You can actually deepen the stage that you want to focus on by knowing exactly what it is about. And of course, the stages of realization, they are intertwined. They are not completely defined with this one starts here and ends here, and here begins the next one. They are intertwined. For some people, understanding the stages of realization, it's not even important. For me, it was very important. I craved to have the clarity of where am I at on my journey? Am I progressing? Where am I going? What's the direction? What's the next step? How do I get there? So that's what it helped me with. It was a huge relief for me to gain this clarity. That is why I wanted to share this with you. And the last way of looking at the stages of realization is in just 2 stages. It's a simpler one. First of all, on the inside is the realization of ourself, of our true nature as ever-present peacefulness. So we realize that our true nature is peace, and that is a felt understanding that starts to deepen and deepen and deepen, deeper and deeper into itself. So we could say that this is an inner realization, and the outer realization of this is that we all share the same being, that there is one presence present in every form of life. The being that we share is one. So these are the 3 ways to look at the stages of realization. First one, understanding whether or not you are on the path of self-realization or to the path of self-realization. And if you're on the path, the first way to look at the stages is realizing, stabilizing, and grounding. The second one is everything arises to me, everything arises in me, and everything arises as me. And the last one, my true nature is eternal peace, and we all share the same being. I hope this has helped you identify where you're at. And if you're someone who is still on the path to self-realization, know that self-realization is something you can make happen. So that first moment of realizing your true nature is something we can all have access to. All we need is to know where to look. And so if you want to navigate these stages, understand these stages through your lived experience in a deeper, clearer way, this is something we do inside the Seekers Academy, inside Seekers Mastery, that begins at the beginning of February, so next month. There's still time to sign up if you feel you want to go deeper into your self-realization process and truly dedicate yourself. Make a deeper commitment for more clarity, structure, efficiency. Then I invite you to join us for Seekers Mastery beginning in February. You can still sign up. Registration is open. You will find the link for that below this video. Thank you for taking the time to go deeper into this understanding today, and I will see you next time.